All right, we're going through acting of annoyance. So we're looking at the emotion of annoyance for acting. We're going to go through some examples of scenes that are actually where annoyance is there. We have monologues here as well. And this stuff is on emotionalpreparation.com. So annoyance is unlike it's not extreme anger. It's going to be an annoyance of something an irritation. It's going to be a buildup. So when I talk about the character arcs when I say character arc, the actor's arcs, the experience of the actor giving themselves emotion, they're going to be a series of activations that you do with your emotion. You activate your emotion to resonate the resonance of annoyance. So you first have to know what annoyance is. And annoyance is something that a lot of times we don't become aware of until after we've actually start being pretty irritated. Where if we can get the subtleties of annoyance and we can work with the subtleties of emotions, then we can figure out how to be able to build it as a building block in our interacting scenes. So we're looking at disturbance, repetitive, something that's repetitive. We're looking at something that disrupts our comfort or our concentration, something that is of a violation of self potentially. Go into the minor grievances. Sorry, the lights are always changing. Working with the lights still. A minor grievance, escalating frustration, or an infuriating situation. So we're looking at this whole thing. We're dealing with annoyance. Now we want to be specific as to why the other actors annoyed us, but then we're going to have to deal with how to activate our own annoyance based on what we can actually really get ourselves and activate that annoyance in ourselves. Which there's some ways that we can do that. It's typical that we can be able to figure out how to be able to activate our annoyance. But the first thing to understand here is that when we're annoyed, we're typically not aware that we're annoyed until we're past a point where we are almost irritated. And that's just humans. So the ability to be an artist is to be able to find those early indicators of when we're annoyed in our annoyance, and then be able to work with it. Now, annoyance is typically a negative emotion, but doesn't always have to be. Annoyance could be a thing that's seen in romantic comedies where there's an attraction between two different people, and there's annoyance because the one person doesn't know or want to confront their feelings about how they feel about another, and then they're annoyed that the other shows up at the same safari that they're going on, or at the same event that they're going to be on. And there's an essence of annoyance that's a flirtation element within romantic comedies. That's another very viable aspect of annoyance. So we have to understand there's different types. Common scenarios that evoke annoyances would be irritating coworker, an actor, and now that could also be romantic comedy. So when we're looking at this, we don't want to look at this as only being a negative emotion. We want to look and see, is there something, how many different strands of this element of annoyance can we actually self-activate? Are we able to self-activate this in our emotional preparations? Now, I don't care what acting technique that you use to be able to get emotion. We're breaking down acting into the most simplest form. Use the techniques that you use in your class or your acting teachers use and see if it works for you. But basically, you're on your own journey in acting. You're going to be able to develop your own ability to be able to activate this and resonate this element of emotion. And this emotion is annoyance. You're dealing with your ability to get annoyed. And you're going to be able to learn how to be able to amplify that annoyance at these different degrees. And how you do that, if that could be, let's say the overall picture of the film is annoyance. And then it's it could be a flirtatious romantic comedy, or it could be an annoyance between two siblings. And you're going to arc your intensity of that emotion. You're going to probably emotionally prepare on annoyance several different times, some major times within the picture of the scene. But you do that at different levels. So annoyance is, there's a lot of things I want to say right now. There's a lot to this, but it's easy to get started. And then what you do is you start learning from your own experience. So you find one of these things that are going to start you on the journey of learning and understanding what annoyance is to you and how you can activate it. Actor faces a series of unfortunate inconveniences. The inconveniences become, over time, they become disruptive to their comforts. They're exasperated by a child's relentless questioning. That's another example of annoyance. siblings arguments over petty matters, which they could be petty or they could not be petty. It depends on how much meaning you have on them. Professional struggles with incompetent colleagues. You're a colleague that's able to do something really well, and you're seeing somebody else not do it well, but yet you're always having to bring up their work. That would be one level of annoyance. And this is constructed and thought of by the script writers in the scenes and as the writers and creative crews to be able to get this working for yourself, so that you've got this element working for yourself. You want to be able to identify annoyance, the emotion of annoyance, and then figure out ways to activate it and reactivate it, activate it and reactivate it. And you're going to consistently do that scene after scene after scene after scene. So in my example that I just thought of here of romantic comedies, you're going to be able to have the annoyance of, seeing somebody that you're attracted to and you don't know how your feelings are, and you have this, and then the next scene, another annoyance of that person. And maybe it's a little comical, but then eventually within the script, maybe that annoyance changes into another emotion like romantic, or it doesn't have to be romantic comedies. There are other examples of this. Okay, elements of effective annoyances in a scene. Escalation, there's a comedic or serious tones, there's character dynamics, there's physicality, timing, and there's dialogue different deliveries. Now, let's go through some of these. The escalation, there could be mild irritation and it then turns into a major frustration. This is very, very, very good. Script writers will do this very, very well and skillfully if they're constructing the scene arcs of a picture. I'm going to try and get this done in 10 minutes, so just stay with me here, because comedic or serious tone, annoyance of playing a dramatic or so you could be playing this around for you could be feeling played with. There's an annoyance of being played with. You could just go with that. Character dynamics. Who is causing you the annoyance and why? You're going to get specific on what that is. Physical and timing. You're going to be annoyed. Often annoyance involves gestures, eye rolls, comedic timing. This is where you could end up having annoyance turn into this flirtatious thing that's actually very, very enjoyable for audiences. It could also be that the audiences are, there's a lot of things to this. Dialogue delivery, passive aggressive, turns and enhances into emotion. Now we have to understand that audiences will typically want, this is a big thing that I constantly remind myself, and that is that the audience will laugh at what the audiences can't fully express in their real life. So they'll see a series of annoying things happening in a picture, and they'll laugh at it, and they're not actually laughing at you, the actor. They're not laughing at even the circumstance necessarily. They're laughing because it helps them to get through and express themselves as to what they couldn't possibly express in real life. Okay, we're going to go through. There's typically negative, but these are not always typically negative. Don't look at annoyance as just being a one-threaded thing. You're looking at layers, constantly working on layers, layer, layer, layer. All right, recommendations for scenes will include The Odd Couple, Felix and Oscar's clashing personalities, Noise Off, chaos behind scene characters. That's Lloyd, Gary, and Brooke Dory. Importance of being earnest, Gwendoline and Cicely's polite rivalry. Midsummer's Night Dream, Helen and Hermia. The Cherry Orchard, Lopkin, Madame, I can't pronounce his last name, Ren Kanaskis. It's complicated, but look at the project. Some of these are interesting. Barefoot in the Park is incredible. That's Paul and Corey's newlywed fight between characters. That's another example. You're looking at a romantic comedy type thing in Barefoot in the Park. All right, monologues. There's more of these on the site. Check it out at emotionalpreparation.com. And also, I have my book here, Meisner Activities, as well as door knocking. I've got reasons to knock on the door. These are all really good resources for you to work through and build projects from them. Don't just sit around and just do them in acting classes, which is cool if you want to do that because you're learning technique. But take these books and make films with them. That's what I made them for. My cousin Vinny, look at Judge and versus Vinny, characters Judge and Vinny. Ferris Bueller's Day Off is another one example, and check that out. Thanks.